This video is brought to you by DR Strings. Since 1989, DR Strings has been making handmade round core strings to satisfy the needs of some of the greatest guitar and bass players in the world. Listen and learn more at drstrings.com.
Welcome. My name is David Kriesel and I'm a repairman here at Groom Guitars in Nashville, Tennessee. Today I'd like to make a video for you guys explaining kind of the process of how acoustic pickup is put into a guitar and a few different options that we have available to us. With this video today, I'd like to make acoustic pickup installs a little more approachable to everyone out there because this is something you can do on your own. Today we'll be installing a K&K Pure Mini pickup. This is one of my favorite pickups only because it's so simple. It's 3 diodes that are glued to the bridge plate and then just straight out to a jack. There are a few tools that you'll need to get to make this a lot easier. I'm going to start with the end pin reamer, a good drill, a small crescent wrench, small piece of metal that'll fit into the hole in the jack, and this is a lifesaver. This is a 1/4-inch jack soldered to a piece of brass. And this is also very helpful. It's just a piece of plexiglass with some nylon screws in it that will help us guide the pickup into the instrument. Before we install the pickup, we need to take note of the action which the guitar is playing in playing position, because it's very different if the guitar is laying like this than in actual playing position where you want the action to be correct. So we're going to take note of the truss rod relief or the neck relief. We're going to take note of the saddle height action here. And we can check the nut slots. That doesn't have a lot to do with what's going to happen with the pickup system. Then we're going to go ahead and take the strings off and start the install. The next part of this process is where most people have some cringe-worthy feelings, where we're going to ream out the hole in the end pin. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, I don't have an end pin reamer. Why don't I just grab a 3/8, drill bit and just drill it out? Well, it's very important to enlarge the hole slowly and at a gradual pace. So you're not going to end up blowing out the inside of the tail block, and you're not going to mess up any finish on the outside. So here we go. The most important thing is to consider not being angled this way or this way or this way or this way or in any other angles. Just to go in straight, confidently, it'll work out just fine. Now that the scary part's over, we're going to start using some of these custom tools that I showed you earlier. Like I said, this is a 1/4-inch jack stuck to a rod, and what it's going to do is allow us to go through the hole and stick the jack in here and allow us to bring the jack back through without stuffing our hands all the way in the guitar and making it uncomfortable for us. What I'm going to do next is setting the depth at which the jack sticks out of this hole. So I use this depth finder here, and with my thumb, I eyeball the depth I think it's going to be. Stick this through there. Pull it back through. And I see that I have about a 30-second, maybe a little more of room to go. And what's going to happen is the washers on the inside are actually going to compress a little bit, so that's good. We want that. And we're just checking to make sure our depth is correct. And if it's not, we'll redo it. Few more custom tools. This is just a screwdriver that I lopped off the end of it, and this is going to go through the hole here to stabilize everything. You don't want to just come in with a wrench and just start wrenching on this thing. You will mar the finish that way. A number of other things can happen. Now we tighten it down. It doesn't need to be Herculean or anything, just tight enough so it's not going to move. And it is going to compress, like I said, a little bit. Now the jack's installed. Now that we've found the depth to where the jack needs to be sticking out, I've taken it back out by disassembling those nuts and washers. And then I put a little tape on there just to keep my washer and lock washer on the jack so we don't lose it inside the instrument. Next, we're going to be installing the diodes and everything to consider that goes along with that. Now, I've got my handy dandy little helper here that's going to show you exactly what the inside of your guitar is going to look like. What happens with these diodes is they're glued directly onto the bridge plate in between the string holes and the front of the bridge plate. It is very important that the diodes sit flatly and all the way on the bridge plate. If you do not have enough room in there, you may need to consider a different pickup system. Now I'm going to use my handy dandy piece of plexiglass to allow me to put all 3 diodes on at the same time. And what I'm looking for is that the saddle is going straight through the middle of the diode, that it is in between, either the E and the A, the D and the G, and the B and the E, and then we'll stagger a little bit that way. I want nice spacing, I want the wires to come out nicely. By the way, I've temporarily affixed these diodes to my plexiglass with it's just a putty, like a sticky putty that you'd find at any hobbyist store. And that's just to temporarily keep them in place as when we super glue them and then put them under the bridge plate. Now these will release and the glue that is affixed the diodes to the bridge plate will not. And I'm actually going to go inside the guitar. And look on the inside to make sure that we are sitting correctly. Now you're going to need a mirror and a light for this. And I'm looking and I've got plenty of space, plenty of room. I'm very happy with the way this one's going to be installed. Next on our journey in installation, we're going to braid these diodes just slightly with, I'm using 800 grit sandpaper. And you don't want to sand them so much that they go not flat anymore. You do want something to help the super glue, and that's the glue what we're using here, adhere to both the diode and the bridge plate. Now I use a gel super glue in this installation. And what we're going to do next is use some accelerator. And what accelerator is a product that does what it sounds like. It accelerates the speed at which super glue dries. Now that does create a moment of truth where you got to get the pickup, the diodes in there and in before everything solidifies. But don't be afraid, you can take these off, you can resand the glue off and try again. So don't make that be a reason why you feel like you can't do this. So what I'm going to do, paper towel, put the accelerator on there, and I'm going to wet the front of the bridge plate. We're going to put a dot of super glue, not too much. And in we go. Now we're going to hold this for about 30 seconds to allow the glue to dry. Now we get to check our work. And like I said, there's the bridge plate, there's super glue, there's the diode, and then there's the putty underneath that. What we're hoping is that will happen is the putty will let go and everything else will stay. So we'll see how that went. Push softly, not too hard, kind of working it back and forth. Everything feels good. Some putty in there. Voila! Everything is out. To continue our inspection, I'll get my handy light and mirror out, and I like my placement. Everything is symmetrical. Now there is a little bit of putty on the back of one of the diodes, so I will go ahead and clean that off, just with a fingernail. If it is a lot that's in there, you can use some naphtha on a piece of paper towel, and that'll help pull some of that off of there. There's a little collar here that I'll slide all the way up just to kind of gather all the wires together. And because these wires are a little long, if you just install it, it'll kind of flop around. You really don't want that. I'll go ahead, just put a little twist in this, in the wires here. Now it's important to do that before you put it in. It's much easier if you put the zip tie on before it's on the instrument. Take my tape off. My jack finder here. Slide the washer on. And then the nut. Again, we're going to use our crescent wrench and our screwdriver to stabilize it while we're tightening it. The strap button lock goes on. See, there's a little bit protruding there. Now I know that my plug will go all the way in. Now I've plugged in the guitar into my amp. I put it in playing position. What I want to hear is good volume, equal volume across all the strings. I don't hear any difference between treble, middle, bass. That's really what you're looking for. For Premier Guitar, I'm David Kriesel from Groom Guitars in Nashville. Thanks for watching.